It's been over 6 years since I started the channel, and I've gained a lot of experience since then. My first video, released back in 2015, talked about the design of Bushido Blade. And then we talked about the differences in the sequel. We discussed the creative impact of Culture Brain and the disappearance of Dream Factory. Our journeys together have taken us through some pretty random places, from the dry, arid lands of Gustaberg, over the Silent Hills, and into the Stardew Valleys. And though there were times where we focused on the amazing successes, redemptions, deceptions, and failures, we also looked at the overlooked, the unsung, and unheard. The past few years, though, we have faced some difficulty spikes. Many of us had our lives upturned and rolled into a ball of anxiety, and we've all done our best to be brave during these uncertain times. It can feel like there's a giant weight crashing down upon us. Many of us today are still fighting battles. We've had to find harmony in the despair, temper our ambitions. We couldn't even go out and do something as simple as run for a little while. And instead, we had to take refuge in our sanctuaries. We had to face colossal obstacles that overshadowed us. We had to climb our way back up. We had to redefine what community meant to us, what family meant to us. And many of us had to survive horrors. And who's really to say what the future holds? All I can say is there have been times where I've tried to help others out, because there's been many times that you have helped me. But as we look through the personal wars we fought and through the record of our own lives, the one thing that remained constant over the years is that we've built a lot of character. A lot has changed, and while I still sport the cyan and red, these days my editing tends to be lilac and cerise. And while I've been out stopping skeletons from fighting, I often think of what I'll do when I return home. There are a lot of things I've left unfinished, and even more that I want to talk about. But after the past few years of retrospectives, I've taken the time to introspect. I always thought I would have all the time in the world to accomplish what I wanted to do, that my passions and goals could always be pushed off to a more appropriate time, a better opportunity. But while just trying to survive, I realize that time is a finite resource. Eventually, we run out, and not just to age or health, but also responsibility. I realize the best time to do something that you've always wanted to do is the moment you realize that you can. I never managed to fully realize that childhood dream of making a video game. But as a wise man once said, you have to follow your bliss. And now, more than ever, is the one opportunity that I have to do exactly that. And plus, it's like every other YouTuber is making a video game nowadays, so why not? But while I could go on this journey alone, I don't see a reason to not take you with me. After all, my goal on this channel is to discuss the history, design, and legacy of video games. And so what better way to do that than go through the process of making a game myself, start to finish. This is Design Documentaries, and this year we're going to be developing a video game. Allow me to introduce you to Project Boken. I actually don't got anything here to show because, the game isn't finished yet. So first things first, what exactly is Project Boken? It's not the title of the game I'm working on, though it might be. I don't know, I kinda like it. But Project Boken is simply the code name for the game I'm developing. But more importantly, it's what the series will be called to keep it easier to follow for those interested in it. The idea is, with this project, to go through each aspect of game design, from coming up with a concept, to making an actual design document, to the gameplay, story, character design, music, sound, level design, programming, all the way to marketing, producing, and publishing a game. While I have knowledge in most of these things and experience in some of them, I am by no means an expert in any of them. So there will be times where I'm learning right alongside you. And because we're all learning, that's why we're using a training sword, hence a boken. This isn't going to explicitly be a how-to on every single aspect of game development. There will be discussions on what programming is and how to solve some of the creative issues, but I'm not planning on teaching you exactly how to code. That's not really the goal. Instead, this is all meant to give you a foundation regarding on what game development is, what it takes to take an idea from your head and put it into a form that other people can enjoy, and give you the tools to potentially start on the path of making something yourself. By the end of it, hopefully everyone can gain a deeper appreciation in what it takes to actually develop a game, myself included. As of right now, I only have a very vague idea of what the finished project will look like. There are a few things I have in mind that I want to accomplish, but even then, that's all subject to change. In fact, just to make it interesting, I'm likely gonna put a few limitations on myself as well. Hopefully the end result is good. I mean, I talk about game design a lot, and the last thing I want is my game to be featured on Cusa Grande. But even if it is, hey, that's part of the process. Overall though, I'm really excited regarding the project because I am not kidding, this is something I've always wanted to do. So how does this affect the channel? Well, the idea is sort of a multi-pronged approach in terms of content. YouTube is where I'll be uploading the core of the videos, edited content, each with a specific focus topic on the design process. There might be a few videos of progress updates in general, especially around the time where we get into the programming stage because, I mean, let's face it, that's where the development bad place is. Most of the busy work and figuring things out, I'm more inclined to stream. I don't know how often because, I mean, frankly, I don't like streaming. I'm much more comfortable with scripted and edited content, but hey, it's a good opportunity to stream and maybe answer questions more directly if anyone has them. I probably won't end up using YouTube to stream because I should probably diversify my portfolio a bit if you understand what I'm saying, but I'll likely upload the streams on a playlist. Channel related, if you follow me on Twitter, that will also likely be focused more on Project Boken, with just little snippets of the game as it develops. I understand this is a fairly dramatic shift in content, even if it's ultimately a temporary one. I can imagine this is going to be a year-long project, likely longer. Depending on the scope of Project Boken, that might be a generous estimate, or it might be the least informed thing I've ever said on the channel. Regardless, this project is going to require dedication. There are only so many hours in a day, and even then, already less than I would like. This likely means that the content you normally know me for, the deep dives on video game history and narrative design, are probably going to be on a hiatus during that time. Maybe not entirely. 2022 is Final Fantasy XI's 20th anniversary, and the future of that game is not known to me. So personally, I want to spend as much time celebrating it as I can. So I might as well finish the gaining experience series I've started. And there might be something that tickles my fancy that I want to take a break and focus on. But likely the bigger projects like design documentaries are going to be shelved for the remainder of the year unless something happens in terms of stability. Stability. Whew. That's something we've seemed to lack in the past couple of years or so. I guess this is a good time to bring up this disclaimer. There is a chance, like many games, that Project Boken won't see the finish line. Alright, I'm gonna be real here for a minute. The past few years, YouTube and Patreon have not been what's been putting food on my table, and at this point I don't really expect them to. The reason I went from making several videos a year down to a few is because a lot of my time has been spent taking editing jobs for other channels. I'm not complaining, it's still great to be doing something adjacent to what I love, but it has been difficult to spend weeks to months working on other people's videos, then have to sit down and then do it for yourself. Especially when you have to drop everything when something is offered. With Project Boken, the focus isn't going to be on the videos themselves, but rather the design process. I won't have to spend time doing research, sourcing references, and then spend a bunch of time building a cohesive narrative out of all of that while trying to be entertaining. That's where a lot of the effort goes. Here, I'm my own reference. I'm making my own narrative. I mean, knowing me, I'll still spend plenty of time agonizing over edits, but there is hope, however misguided, that videos are going to be more manageable and won't be nearly as intensive on the video front. Obviously, game development is going to be the more intensive part. Game design, despite what my dumb 6-year-old self thought, isn't exactly a solo endeavor. Furthermore, the project isn't being kickstarted or sponsored by anyone, so I still can't make this a priority. Survival has to come first. But the hope is that having other things to do that isn't spending my life in front of an Adobe Premiere timeline will help me manage the burnout. Of course, this is also under the assumption that things stay the same or get better and not worse. I know that's a huge disclaimer, but I just want to set realistic expectations. That said, I am naively hopeful that this project will see a finished form in one way or the other. I got a good idea of the scope of the project, and I'm making several life changes to accommodate that. With any luck, this hopefully means more content for the channel, not less. But it does mean that content is likely to change. Not forever though, this is just a temporary detour of the focus on the channel, an opportunity to fulfill a childhood dream that I haven't had the opportunity to do otherwise, and I feel that there is value in taking everyone along for the journey. There are still many stories and games that I wish to cover, and I hope that this project gives me more appreciation and respect for those who have made the journey before me, and then we'll return to our regularly scheduled design documentaries more informed. Unless, of course, this somehow makes it big enough to warrant a sequel. I mean, hey, if I got a chance to be a game designer, I'm gonna take it. And that is the plans for the upcoming year. I am, again, really excited for the opportunity to be able to do this, and I genuinely hope you are as well. Thank you to all the supporters who have helped me get to this point. You're awesome, and I cannot thank you enough for sticking with me through everything. Starting with the next video, we'll be taking a closer look on how we'll be making our game and what we'll need to do just that. But until then, this is SoberDwarf reminding you that gaining experience builds character.